This week on Hot Ticket, Spider-Man swings back to theaters.
That's Spider-Man. No more.
Does the Spidey sequel get our senses tingling? Then,
Some people call you the elite. I call you my base.
Michael Moore is burning bush in Fahrenheit 9/11.
Now watch this drive.
Plus, sex, violence, religion.
Can't be anal retentive if you don't have an anus.
Outstanding work.
We look back at the controversial movies that drew ticket lines and picket lines.
All the religious groups protested
Everybody hated this film.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
And
You want to dance with me?
Sure.
The Notebook goes from bestseller to the big screen.
It has got to stop.
Plus,
Yo, what's up, money? You got a problem?
the Wayans brothers go way undercover in White Chicks.
You want some of this? Look, you don't want none of this, son. I take the both of you.
Who's the most diabolical villain in movies? Is it the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, or George W. Bush? Welcome to Hot Ticket. I'm Joyce Kilhaywick in Boston.
And I'm Leonard Maltin in Hollywood. Michael Moore directly takes on the president in Fahrenheit 9/11. First, though, let's get things swinging with one of the most hotly anticipated sequels of the year, Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire returns as the web slinger, but he almost sat this one out. So we gave him just 15 seconds in our hot seat to tell us what drew him back to the role.
The cool thing about being Spider-Man for me is that, you know, my fans are kids, basically. It doesn't really get tiresome when people come up to me, because generally they're little people, you know, they're children coming up to me, and that's fun.
Do you love me or not?
I don't.
2 years after the first film, Peter Parker is still afraid that he will endanger anyone who becomes close to him.
That's Spider-Man. No more.
Fed up with keeping his loved ones at arm's length, Peter gives up being a superhero until he's faced with a new foe, the mysterious Dr. Octopus.
Find Spider-Man, or I'll peel the flesh off her bones.
I'm not sure when the world was brainwashed into believing that comic book movies were the last word in entertainment. Now, I like some of them, but they're not my idea of the ultimate movie experience. That said, I must admit that Spider-Man 2 is one of the most entertaining films I've seen this year. If every comic book film had the smarts, the surprises, the imagination, and the emotional weight of this one, we'd all be better off.
Can I get you a drink,
I'm with John. He'll get me my drink.
John?
Tobey Maguire is more tortured than ever. Kirsten Dunst is just as conflicted, and James Franco is even more disturbed than in the original screen story.
Peter Parker.
But the capper is the addition of one of the world's most versatile actors, Alfred Molina, as the ill-fated Dr. Octopus, who doesn't set out to be a bad guy. Some of the action is incredibly intense, and I think quite scary for younger children. Ah, forget them. I was in knots watching this film.
Where is she? Oh, she'll be just fine. Let's talk.
Kudos to director Sam Raimi, a host of writers, and a first-rate cast for making Spider-Man 2 such an exciting and entertaining experience. Needless to add, I'm giving this my hot vote.
I completely agree, Leonard. Spider-Man is, in fact, the exception to the rule of sequels. It's even better than the original, more deeply emotional, with more fully developed characters and an extremely terrifying villain and chilling action sequences. Dr. Octopus, with his mechanical tentacles climbing up the side of a building or tossing cars around city streets, recalls King Kong and Godzilla, only scarier. They've broadened Rosemary Harris's role as Aunt May, a wise move since this esteemed actress lends even more gravity to the proceedings.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest.
And finally, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker is truly tested here, physically and morally. In fact, his powers are directly linked to his commitment to his identity, which makes his inner struggle clear and even dangerous. He and Kirsten Dunst are even hotter this time around, caught in the web of their increasing attraction to each other, while the action and all Parker's other key relationships heat up around him. This is brilliant storytelling that defines what gives comic book heroes meaning, and it's brought to life by a cast that couldn't be more skilled or appealing. Spider-Man is super hot. Our next movie isn't based on a comic book, but rather a real one, the bestseller from Nicholas Sparks. The Notebook is the tale of Noah and Allie, two young lovers growing up in the American South in the 40s, separated by class, parents, and World War II.
What date?
The date that you agreed to?
No.
Yes, you did. You promised and you swore it.
Well, I guess I changed my mind.
Despite its flaws, I appreciated the lush romanticism and charismatic performances of the leads in The Notebook. Ryan Gosling, in a striking departure from some of the disturbed characters we've seen him play before, notably in Murder by Numbers and The United States of Leland, is here intensely sensitive and sexually magnetic. Rachel McAdams, whom you'll recognize from Mean Girls, is luminous as the beautiful upper-class Southern belle whom he pursues. The heat between them is palpable. The whole story is told in flashback by an elderly man, played by James Garner, reading from a notebook to an elderly woman with Alzheimer's, Jenna Rollins. We know exactly where this is going. The story does veer off into the sudsy terrain of soap opera, right down to a wooden, mustache-twirling performance by David Thornton as Allie's arrogant father. But Gosling and McAdams keep it real and urgent. It's a guilty pleasure, but I vote hot.
Funny, I don't feel guilty at all. In fact, I immersed myself in the emotions of this movie and enjoyed every bit of it. Ryan Gosling adds another portrait to his growing gallery of memorable performances.
You got so much ahead of you.
Don't talk like that.
It's true. I'm not going to have nice things, fancy things. It's never going to happen for me. It's not in the cards for me.
As for Rachel McAdams, having only seen her in The Hot Chick and Mean Girls, I had no idea she was capable of such a robust portrayal. The reason The Notebook works so well is that it doesn't hold anything back. It's a genuinely passionate love story that has the courage of its convictions. I didn't find the generational parallels all that obvious, and when I caught on, I found them touching. What's more, you couldn't ask for better casting than James Garner and Jenna Rollins, even if the director is her son, Nick Cassavetes. This movie cares about its characters and inspires us to feel the same way. I'm an unabashed fan of this movie, and I give The Notebook my hot vote.
My choice this week won 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture in 1997, and is being released on Miramax on a new collector's series DVD. The English Patient, starring Ray Fiennes and Kristen Scott Thomas as tragic lovers during World War II. Fiennes plays a Hungarian count who falls in love with a colleague's beautiful wife. Their passionate scenes together are delicately erotic. Their heat will consume them and have tragic consequences for those around them.
Why you so determined to keep me alive?
Because I'm a nurse.
This story is embedded in a larger one. Fiennes' character is recollecting this tale from his deathbed, while his nurse, played by Juliette Binoche, in her Academy Award-winning performance, finds her patient healing her own wounded soul. The film has the intensity and lyricism of poetry. It is precise and lush at the same time. The DVD includes a behind-the-scenes featurette, interview with the novelist Michael Ondaatje, audio commentary by director Anthony Minghella, deleted scenes, and more. The English Patient is one of the loveliest films of the last 20 years.
Also playing in theaters,
Let's kick it old school.
Sean and Marlon Wayans are FBI agents who get the unfortunate assignment of going incognito as white chicks. Anyone interested to see these stars in this premise might enjoy this film, but it's not my idea of a good movie comedy, so I vote not.
For a fun trip, try Around the World in 80 Days. The wonderful Jackie Chan is surrounded by an attractive cast and hilarious cameos. Leonard, however, found it lumbering and witless. He says not, while I say hot.
The Terminal is vintage Spielberg, a modern-day fairy tale with Tom Hanks giving a delightful comic performance. But Joyce wanted more logic and less trumped-up sentimentality, so she votes not, while I say hot.
You ever feel like you're just living in an airport?
Still to come on Hot Ticket,
Congressman? Congressman?
the movie the White House doesn't want you to see.
Some people call you the elite. I call you my base.
Plus, our look back at the most controversial films of all time.
Always look on the light side of life.
That's coming up next on Hot Ticket.
True connoisseurs know that choice is the ultimate luxury. Fancy feast in more than 40 exceptional selections to entice the refined palate. Good taste is easy to recognize.
The fun thing about s'mores is you all make them together. My boyfriend and I always fight over who makes the best s'mores. I totally win. It's like a Hershey bar sandwich.
All spring, you work to get your lawn thick and green, and then along comes summer and the brown patches. Hi, I'm Ashton Ritchie with the Scotts Company. Don't just blame the summer heat. It's also insects, bugs you can't even see, eating your lawn alive. The solution? Scotts Turf Photo with Summer Guard. It eliminates lawn-damaging insects. Plus, it greens up your lawn with a special summer fertilizer made for even the hottest months. Scotts Turf Photo with Summer Guard. Put it down this weekend for your best summer lawn ever. Guaranteed.
Hand your kid a Nestle drumstick. And they're not growing up too fast. They're not living in a more complicated world. They're just a kid eating a drumstick. Like you were once. Drumstick, the original Sunday cone, only from Nestle.
Clorox Bleach Pen Gel lets you bleach exactly what you want to bleach, and nothing more. Clorox Bleach Pen Gel.
Announcing new Fancy Feast Marinated. Tender morsels of real turkey or tuna, lavishly marinated to captivate the palate of the true gourmet. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Trying to get members of Congress to get their kids to enlist in the Army and go over to Iraq.
Michael Moore won an Oscar and plenty of controversy with his last documentary, Bowling for Columbine. Now the muckraking filmmaker is back with Fahrenheit 9/11, which he made with the explicit purpose of helping get George W. Bush out of the White House.
With everything going wrong, he did what any of us would do. He went on vacation.
Michael Moore has a habit of going too far, even when he's making a good point. And this sometimes puts me off. As if to acknowledge the problem, he's removed himself as much as possible from Fahrenheit 9/11 to allow the remarkable footage he's accumulated to tell his story. Obviously, how you feel about President Bush and his policies will have much to do with your reaction to this film, an unabashed piece of ideological propaganda. I think it's devastating. And Mr. Bush and his cabinet members skewered themselves repeatedly without any help from Michael Moore.
This is an impressive crowd, the haves and the have-mores. Some people call you the elite. I call you my base.
The failure of television news to ask the hard questions has allowed and encouraged Michael Moore to take on the mantle of the loyal opposition. Disagree if you like, that's your privilege. Moore makes his points incredibly well. And that's why I'm giving his film a hot vote.
Well, I, too, have a love-hate relationship with Michael Moore. Fahrenheit 9/11 is more of a rant than a movie and almost undoes itself with its own arrogance. It also wanders far afield of the tragedy of September 11th in order to link events as disparate as the controversial November 2000 election results, the passing of the Patriot Act, the war in Iraq, Saudi investment in the U.S. economy, and the unemployment rate in Flint, Michigan. Moore rightly questions the party line. Someone has to do it, but is intellectually dishonest when he leaves out information that doesn't support his agenda. Specifically, in naming the coalition who supported the U.S. in Iraq, he makes a point of naming and even ridiculing Romania, Iceland, but leaves out Britain, Spain, Italy, etc. He condescends to the patriotism of a woman whose son is a soldier in Iraq, then later exploits that woman's grief when her son is killed. But Moore also points up the hypocrisy of the Democrats, the odd decision to allow members of bin Laden's family out of the country after September 11th, and the slick connections between American oil interests and the war in Iraq. It's hard not to cringe when President Bush arrogantly displays more enthusiasm for his golf swing than fighting terrorism.
I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Ultimately, I vote hot.
Don't go away when Hot Ticket continues. From From the Passion of the Christ to the life of Brian.
All right, I am the Messiah! Yeah!
Joyce joins me in the studio for more daring movies that were too hot for some to handle.
It wasn't excessive. It was about excess. Nice try.
That's coming up next on Hot Ticket.
Closed captioning provided by...
I get hot flashes, night sweats.
Try All Natural New Phase with more of the plant estrogens clinically shown to reduce menopausal symptoms. New Phase. Get more out of life.
Hand your kid a Nestle drumstick, and they're not growing up too fast. They're just a kid eating a drumstick, like you were once. Nestle Drumstick, the original Sunday cone.
There she goes. There she Be true to yourself with a birth control pill that gives you a high level of effectiveness and a low level of hormones, like Ortho Tricycline Low. You get clinically proven effectiveness, cycles that are more predictable, and it's nice to know that Ortho Tricycline Low is from the #1 maker of prescription birth control. The pill does not protect against HIV or sexually transmitted diseases. Serious risks include blood clot, stroke, and heart attack. Cigarette smoking increases these risks, especially if you're a smoker over 35. Women who use the pill are urged not to smoke. Women who have blood clots, certain cancers, a history of heart attack or stroke, and those who could be pregnant should not use the pill. For more information, talk to your healthcare professional or visit thepill.com. High effectiveness, low hormones. Ortho Tricycline Low.
True connoisseurs know that choice is the ultimate luxury. Fancy feast in more than 40 exceptional selections to entice the refined palate. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Next week on Hot Ticket, the films of Robert Redford, Anything Goes for Kevin Kline as Cole Porter, and the biggest dance movie hits of all time.
Hot Ticket!
Better, cleaner, faster service. Call 1-800-FURNACE. Call Galease.
Call Galease for all your heating and cooling needs, whether it's repairing your existing system or installing a new one. We do the job right the first time. Compare us to Lowe's, Sears, or Home Depot before you buy. We'll beat their price, and we have same-day service.
Call 1-800-FURNACE. Call Galease.
I often stop and wonder, what if? What if I didn't break my leg in front of millions of fans in 1985? My thoughts used to center on my game. Then, like you, I had a family and discovered what worrying was really about. What if something happened to you? How would your family get by? Many folks don't have enough life insurance, and if you're counting on what you have at work, consider this. Half of all workers lose their coverage when they retire. Fortunately, there's Life Choice, an affordable offer from Colonial Penn for folks age 18 to 75. It provides up to $25,000 in affordable whole life insurance protection. Applying is easy. No medical exam is required, and once accepted, your coverage cannot be canceled. It fully protects from day one and gives you a benefit amount that's guaranteed not to decrease and a premium that's guaranteed not to increase. For free information, pick up the phone.
Call 1-800-472-1122 to receive free information and a free gift in the mail. That's 1-800-472-1122. Call now.
Fahrenheit 9/11 is touting itself as the most controversial film of the year. But that distinction may belong to an independent movie that came out 4 months ago, The Passion of the Christ.
The film has religious subject matter, and that is practically a guarantee to stir up debate. Just think back to 1988 and The Last Temptation of Christ, directed by Martin Scorsese, based on the Kazantzakis novel. This film was derided for being anti-Christian because Christ was portrayed as being too human, too vulnerable, too sexual.
I want you to forgive me. I've done too many bad things.
And like The Passion of the Christ, people protested it before they ever saw it. I remember picket lines in front of Universal Studios back in the late 80s when this was not yet released.
A much less serious film that was a subject of controversy, and it was a film that I didn't care for, was Dogma, Kevin Smith's Dogma from 1999. This was derided as being anti-Christian and blasphemous and crude and mocking. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck play fallen angels who find a loophole or look for a loophole to get them back into heaven.
If we die with clean souls, there's no way they can keep us out. We won't be angels anymore, but at least we get to go home.
My biggest protest was that it just wasn't funny. Unlike Life of Brian, which covered the same material 20 years earlier and did a hilarious job.
Always look on the light side of life.
This film was derided as being anti-Semitic and anti-Christian.
Yes, all the religious groups protested this
Everybody
film.
hated this film. It was brilliantly funny, an incredible spoof of a biblical epic.
Hail, Messiah! I'm not the Messiah! I say you are, Lord, and I should know I followed a few.
Well, comedy is in the eye of the beholder. I guess blasphemy is too. Like religion, sexuality often gets a film in hot water. Two prime examples are Cruising, back in 1980 with Al Pacino, and Basic Instinct from 1992. Both of these films angered some members of gay and lesbian groups. In the case of Cruising, there was concern that because it depicted hate crimes against gays, this might inspire copycats in the audience. In the case of Basic Instinct, I guess it was the inference that Sharon Stone was a murderess and she was also a lesbian,
Right.
and that those were linked.
That's a
somehow.
terrible combination.
I know.
A lesbian serial killer, you know.
I know.
I mean, and people again thought that this was homophobic, essentially.
Somebody has to die. Why? Somebody always does.
Well, if it's not sex that gets a movie in trouble, it's often violence. 10 years ago, Oliver Stone went too far in the eyes of many with Natural-Born Killers. This was a film about a pair of serial killers who go on a rampage and become media darlings.
Oh, get the big bad wolf.
Oliver Stone, in hindsight, was right. He was trying to make a movie about our culture's obsession with violence and the way it is glorified. Unfortunately, people felt that this film glorified the violence that it sought to condemn.
Well, he also has said that the film was misunderstood because it was about excess. So it wasn't excessive, it was about excess. Nice try. It was excessive. But
I thought it was a good film.
Well, I thought it was a redundant film. I also thought it was a redundant film because it kept going on making
you want
the
to say
same
that again?
point. It was redundant. Over and over and over again.
What do you have to say to your fans?
You ain't seen nothing yet.
I wish it was shorter. That was my biggest complaint. Now, as I mentioned earlier, controversy is nothing new to the big screen, so we can't forget the granddaddy of all controversial films, D.W. Griffith's 1915 epic, The Birth of a Nation. This is still a hot potato all these years later. It was made in 1915. You still can't mention it today without getting people riled up, and understandably. Because here, on the one hand, you have a landmark in motion picture history, one of the first really important and successful feature-length films. Unfortunately, it's also an incredibly racist film made by a Southerner who in some cases saw things a certain way and didn't think he was doing anything wrong.
What's interesting is that at the time that it was released, it actually upset the newly formed NAACP.
That's right.
And D.W. Griffith himself was unaware of his own biases, but the film put it out there in such a way that it could arouse a controversy and make people look at their own prejudices. Finally, it may not sound as sensational as sex or violence, but many films have been blasted for their inaccuracy. Oliver Stone is a perfect example, again, with JFK. He calls into question the single gunman theory of the Kennedy assassination, and he scatters, he points fingers, I should say, at everybody.
He makes LBJ complicit.
I felt complicit.
I know.
If there was a second rifleman, then by definition, there had to be a conspiracy.
FBI, CIA, the police, big business, you name it, and that's one of the flaws in the film.
You know the most inaccurate thing he does?
Yeah.
He casts Kevin Costner as D.A. Jim Garrison.
Well, exactly.
If you ever saw Jim Garrison...
Garrison was a giant.
Oh, he was a screwball is what he was. And here, clean-cut, all-American Kevin Costner, which, of course, was the brilliance of Stone in casting.
You got it, because who else would have come to
made him acceptable to an American
People
audience.
came to the movie.
But I say this, if anybody goes to a movie and takes what the movie tells them as gospel, then they're fools.
Now, we're through the looking glass here, people. White is black, and black is white.
Next week on Hot Ticket,
If you make a noise, I'll shoot.
Robert Redford returns to the big screen in The Clearing.
Have I done something to you?
Plus, our look back at the natural talent of the Sundance Kid.
What's the matter with you? I can't swim.
Then Kevin Kline and Ashley Judd make beautiful music together in DeLovely.
You and me, that's what was meant to be.
That's next week.
What's this? New Icebreakers liquid ice. Is it liquid or is it ice?
It's liquid, it's ice. It's new Icebreakers Liquid Ice Mints.
These people didn't just lose weight, they kept it off with Zenadron EFX. Start creating your perfect body today with Zenadron EFX. Real people, real success.
What if you could earn your bachelor's or master's degree from a leading accredited university while you're at home? At University of Phoenix Online, you can earn your degree when and where you want via the internet. You'll learn from instructors who hold high-level positions in their fields, so they can provide valuable insight. You'll learn with other successful professionals, sharing experiences and exploring new ideas. You'll have access to an extensive online research library, and you'll earn a state-of-the-industry degree in business, technology, education, or nursing. Best of all, you can complete your degree in about 2 or 3 years, so you can start applying it to your career success. University of Phoenix Online, the intelligent way to attend class. Financing available.
Ah, the beach life, where digging a hole in the sand is a noble pursuit. Wearing shoes is highly overrated. And it isn't a true vacation till you can't remember what day of the week it is. Call today for your free Virginia Beach vacation guide and discover what it's like to live the beach life, if only for a few days. Call and reconnect with someone you love. Or simply get in touch with your inner beach bum. Virginia Beach. Call us. Visit us. Live the life.
My father loves to kid me about my obsession with boats. Must be hard walking on land with those sea legs. That's one of his favorites. I'm glad my children are getting to experience the things I have. It's nice having playmates the same age as me. My name is Laura Walker. I make my home in Philadelphia, but I live when I'm in Virginia Beach.
Call our toll-free number for your free vacation guide.
With all natural ingredients from my own kitchen, I created a no-heat hair removal gel for my daughter. Nads, from our home to yours.
At drugstores nationwide.
It's Jennifer's 3-piece all-leather living room package, just $11.99. An all-leather sofa, love seat, and chair with great style and seating comfort, only from Jennifer.
New on DVD and video. Renee Zellweger's Oscar-winning performance in Cold Mountain. Johnny Depp looks through a scary secret window, and Billy Bob Thornton is the Anti-Claus in Bad Santa. The DVD includes a tribute to the late John Ritter, outtakes, plus deleted and alternate scenes.
You wouldn't be sneaking anything out of here, would you?
Yeah, you know what I got in here? Your wife. You want to say hi to her?
That's it for this week's Hot Ticket. Let's recap the votes. Spider-Man 2 spins a great tale. It scores a double hot. We were also won over by the romance of The Notebook. And Fahrenheit 9/11 is controversial but compelling, so we both vote hot.
Be sure to tune in next time. And until then, remember the words of James Cagney in Jimmy the Gent. There's only 2 kinds of guys in business. Those who get caught and those who don't.
Nothing perks up a room like some great furniture, especially when it's free. Now's the time to stop into IKEA and register to win $2,500 of free furniture and free advice from an IKEA home furnishings consultant. The IKEA Room Makeover. Make a room like this look like this, or a room like this look like this. Hurry in and register to win $2,500 of free furniture from IKEA. It's good to be at IKEA right now, where you can have everything you need to furnish your home all under one roof.
The natural beauty, the rich heritage, the tranquil vistas. You can experience it all in North Carolina. Start planning your North Carolina getaway today. Call this toll-free number now for your free North Carolina travel guide.
Unforgettable escape, we wrote the book on it.
Call for your free Outer Banks of North Carolina travel guide.
KDKA TV's Health Team. On KDKA TV News Advantage, you only get here.